Hey YouTube, Shuken Shinobi here with a review of the Buster Machine CB-01 DX Go-Buster Ace from Tokumei Sentai Go-Busters. So this is the first mecha release for Go-Busters, doing it a little bit differently, and we'll touch upon that in a second. So on the front here we have Go-Buster Ace, it's time for Buster, in 4 modes. So DX, legit and all that. Back here we have the overall stylings for the show. Go-Buster Ace, the next released GT-02, Gorilla, and RH-03 Rabbit. And they will all form together to make Go-BusterOh, seen right here. And it looks pretty friggin' awesome, I think. But we'll get to that later on in next month, actually, because they release at the end of the month. Everything that the toy does is all right here, and then more contents of the box. So this is the Buster Vehicle mode, CB-01 Cheetah. It's just a very kit-looking sports car. A lot of Knight Rider infused elements in the show. For those people who are Knight Rider fans, you can probably see a couple similarities here or there, particularly in the car. Mainly black and red with some gold and silver accents. You got this ridiculous kind of spoiler at the end, but that's fine. I mean, it needs a spoiler. You can take this off if you really hate the spoiler, but then it's not show accurate. So take that as you will. He rolls very, very well. I'll give him that. Lots of rolling action. And unlike most of the Transformers I get, he actually sits flat on the ground. Hooray! So, it comes with this little Cheeda Nick figure. And it's actually quite simple. He stands like this, so he's got this cheetah hanging off of his butt. But that's okay. He's really, really tiny. Not all that detailed at all. And I just punched the camera. That's cool. Like I said, not really all that detailed whatsoever, but it's definitely Nick, and it does look pretty nice. For size comparisons, here is the Red Buster Ranger key from the theme song single. As you can see, pervertedness aside, he only comes up to about his waist area. And just for grins and giggles, because LOL their headers, here's Gosei Knight that came with Gosei Ground. So, as you can see, it's very, very, very tiny, even compared to something as tiny as a Ranger key. So, take that as you will. So, let's go ahead and get these guys out of the way. Hiromu will say goodbye to Nick. And we will get on with this. So, Nick just ran himself over. So, you flip this up, fold his legs up like a Ranger key, and then this back. So now it is vaguely header shaped. Plop this in right here. It doesn't click too much or anything, but it will stay in there pretty solid. And then you just close this down, and it'll pretty much lock in place. It doesn't come out all that easy. So here we have the Buster Vehicle Cheetah, and with the Buddy Roid inside of it, along with the driver, not necessarily, but with the animal head right up front. Still rolls, adds absolutely nothing. There's no sounds on this toy, or lights for that matter, or anything like that, so it doesn't really add anything besides tossing a cheetah head onto the front of the sports car. So, here we have that. Next up is the Buster Animal mode. So, take these legs and bring them up, and then these pieces will fold down. These connector joints are pretty tight, so it might kind of feel like you're breaking it, but I wouldn't really worry about it too bad. Flip these panels out, lock them in place, flip the leg down, and then that down. Same thing over here. So now you got 2 legs. And then take this piece right here, swing this down, and then, I have to figure out which way it's going, like that. Push that through, bring that to the side, and then that forms a tail. You can swivel it around if you want his tail to be a little bit up like that, or just straight out. That's about as far as you can get. You can get a little bit downward too. But this is how it's supposed to be. So here is CB-01 Buster Animal, Cheetah. Very Geki Ranger-esque in my opinion. Looks a lot like the Cheetah and Jaguar from Geki Ranger. So, I'll say a couple things at the end here, but very Go-Andre and Geki Ranger-esque in my opinion. But again, no added features or anything outside of looking like a cheetah. That's really all it's got going for it. It's got a tiny bit of articulation in the legs because of transformation, but nothing spectacular. You can kind of make it look like it's walking a little bit. I don't know, you can make it look like he's taking a whiz. I don't know, you can do all sorts of things. But anyway, really, really cool. So from here, we can turn it into Go-Buster Ace. So basically, we're going to want to pretty much make it a vehicle again. So bring these in, fold these up, in, around, around, around. Pop this off right here. Keep this extended all the way because this is going to make the feet, obviously. This comes down. This comes down. There's a button right here. It locks in place until you push the button down. And then it locks in place once again until you push the button down. So that is pretty cool. Bring it all the way up here. Then from here, we're just going to split these right down the middle. There's some pegs here. They will lock right in place. Fold these down. His arms will come around. Fold them down. Arms come around. Up here on the head, we are going to have some transformation going on here. Bring these down to make this visor, and bring that up to form his head. Down here, we're going to take this piece. It sits in a ball joint in the middle of his hand right here. So you're going to take this around, swivel it up, and then twist it. And there we go, he's holding his sword. And then lastly, we take Nick, good old Cheeda Nick, put him right in there. He'll snap right in. And here we have Go-Buster Ace. So I'll keep it like this for now, since I can get most of them in the camera frame like this. Really, really cool, I think. Initial pictures, I was really kind of angry at this whole leg area, because it's just so big. If you have a problem with it, you can pull the leg back and snap it like this. Just like so. It's not screen accurate anymore, but the legs are a lot more streamlined. Obviously, if you look at it from the side, it looks ridiculous. But from a straight up front angle, it makes his legs look a lot more streamlined and actually quite a bit better looking in my opinion. But I'm a stickler for screen accuracy when possible, so I'm just going to leave him out here for now because this is what he's supposed to look like. In terms of articulation, obviously there's nothing here in the legs because it's just all a bunch of carved brick. You do have a swivel up here at the shoulders, a swivel right there at the arm, a swivel right here at the bicep, and then a elbow joint right here. So all sorts of cool articulation going on here that some mecha don't get the pleasure of getting. So the sword doesn't really do too much else besides you can swap it around and give him a underhand style, or you can just take it off altogether. Like I said, it is just sitting there in a ball joint. So it can be like he was in episode 3, where he didn't really use his sword or anything like that until later. You can do that. All sorts of cool things. So personally, I really like it. It is really small. Just for some size comparisons, let's bring in last year's mecha, Go-BusterOh. As you can see, we've already got a huge issue going on here. So here is a size difference between Go-Buster Ace and Go-BusterOh. He's a good, probably, at least 5-6 inches shorter, I would think. Pretty close, anyway. And here he is next to the year before that's mecha, a much smaller release, Gosei Great. As you can see, he's a tinge shorter than Gosei Great, but not by too much. Shinkano is about the same height as Gosei Great, for those wondering about that as well. So, he is very small. However, whereas a normal mecha will cost about 6,500 yen or so, he only costs about 4,500, so he is a good $25 or so cheaper. You have to keep in mind that he is going to combine with the gorilla and the rabbit to make Go-BusterOh. I imagine Go-BusterOh is going to be a little bit taller than Shinkano and Gosei Great. Not as big as Gokaiyo, because Gokaiyo was actually a really big mecha. But he will gain a lot of height from his big gorilla boots. So, as small as he is right now, just remember that he is a bit cheaper than normal mecha releases at the beginning of the show. And he does have technically 4 modes of awesome play value and all that stuff. So, while people are complaining like, oh, they're separating the mecha this year, this is stupid. You have to keep in mind that they don't have auxiliary mecha in this show, at least not yet, and it doesn't look like we will be getting too much in the way of auxiliary mecha because Beaten Stags is going to be technically a main mecha of sorts. So, no real auxiliary mecha this year, so this is technically our main mecha of the show, with Gorilla and Rabbit technically being auxiliaries because there aren't any in this show. So they needed to do something to stagger out the mecha releases, since they haven't done a figure like this in quite a while. So that being said, they kind of needed to do something to kind of just get everything going and situated correctly. So while it may seem like, oh, this Go-BusterOh is going to be the most expensive mecha ever, not really when you just kind of lay everything out. Buying the entirety of Go-BusterOh is about the equivalent of buying Gokaiyo with Magidragon and Pat Striker, and doing that. In fact, not even that is technically about the same price as buying the Gokaiyo and Gokai Dragon, Magidragon set that came out when wow, I'm all sorts of messed up right now. Gokaiger came out. So price-wise, he isn't as bad of a deal as people are making him out to be. Is he a great figure? Probably not great, but he is one of my favorite mecha released as of late. Particularly because I just wasn't all that fond of Gokaiyo at the end of things. But I really like him. I like the 4 modes. I find myself just kind of sitting here and fiddling with him because he has a really easy and quick transformation. The Go-Buster Ace form has a lot of articulation for a mecha release. And the car mode looks pretty slick as well. Plus, you get the cool cheetah mode too. So lots of play value in this thing. The combination with Rabbit and Gorilla coming up soon. There's just a lot of things that this guy can do. And being the core component, he is really important. So, I love him. I recommend him. It's definitely time for Buster. So you can check out ShukenShobi.com for the latest updates on my reviews and hauls. And of course, check out RidersRangersandRambles.com, bringing you the latest Toku news in the craziest way possible. So take care and have a great one. Bye.